Hello and welcome back to my channel. For this video I have several cards. I am using the stitched rectangle die, the largest one, for each of the cards. I am using the Fawn sea turtle from Critters in the Sea. I have stamped it, and this is Eclipse masking paper. So I'm just cutting out a little mask, which is something I do for several of the other cards I did. I say several, like there's a whole bunch. There's 4 cards. Alright, and here is the color combo that I started out with. I decided to add this G000 in there. I am just making a little kind of water splash behind my sea turtle. Now, when I was planning this video, I thought I would do just clean and simple cards. And then this one kind of ran away from me a little bit. I added way more than just my one little color blob. Of course, you could leave it at just the one little color blob, and that would be just fine. Here I'm bringing in a couple darker colors just to add a little bit of depth to the water look. I do have some more markers that I need refills for that I haven't gotten, so my color blends maybe aren't the most perfect. I did try to keep the colors very close to each other as far as the green and the blue. So, like, I didn't opt for like a B14 or something when I'm using G00, G02. I did test this on a little scrap piece of paper first to make sure that the colors would work together before I wasted my time. Something you will find when you color such large areas with Copic markers is that you're going to have to work a little harder to get the blends to look like they should. And for this, for me, it meant going back over many times with the different shades and kind of doing little feathering flicks out from the darker areas to try to get it to blend just a little bit better. It was a lot of me going back and forth between my colors and really saturating the paper until I was happy with the way it looked. Now, I left it here. You could add little sparkles or dots or bubbles or whatever, especially if you don't really love your color blend, because that will kind of distract from the imperfections of your blend. Here, I'm just coloring my sea turtle a sea turtle color. I know when I think of turtles, I tend to think of green, but if you look up sea turtles, they're actually usually brown. So I went with brown. I have my more reddish brown colors, which is E39, E97, and E99. For the skin of the turtle, I'm just using my E53 marker, and then later I do go back over some of the areas to try to add a little bit of shading. It's just the same marker, but sometimes the more you layer it, the darker it will be. Again, if you look at sea turtles, they have a lot of kind of dots on their fins and their head, so I'm just adding that in with a couple of my darker markers. This doesn't have to be perfect. I definitely didn't want them to look uniform or like a pattern as they were placed. Now I'm adding a little bit of a blue-green color to the shell, just because I felt like it looked a little bit flat. And now I'm stamping my sentiment. Now this, oh yeah, here's the glaze pen. I got a little ahead of myself. For my card, I had thought about just leaving it as just the initial, I don't know, water blob or whatever you want to call it, and the sentiment. But then I felt like that was too empty, so I was like, okay, well, I'll just add one in the top corner. Well, after I did that, I was like, I don't like that there's 2. I feel like there needs to be more. So I had this little one down at the bottom. And then I felt like it still looked like it needed something. And this is where it kind of got away from me, because I just continued adding little blobs until I was happy with it. And I did them all in the exact same way I did the bigger one. It was just a lot faster for these really tiny ones. Now this card is complete, and I am off to my second card. So for this one, I am using Dandy Day by Fawn, and then I have this My Favorite Things stencil, which I got it on clearance. I think that it's going to be discontinued. I'm not 100% sure. I know there are other heart stencils. This one has both the negative and the positive piece. And I am going to stamp my little mouse right in the center of the heart. The tail didn't stamp the best because of where I placed it, but I'll fix that later. Now I have shaded lilac, spun sugar, and scattered straw distress inks. And I'm just going to ink up my little background. As you can see, I laid my little mask down first to cover my mouse. I didn't bother trying to cut out little mask pieces for the little, I don't even know exactly the right terminology for this. Again, I'm not good with plants, but the little feathery seed things, I didn't bother masking those because it's not really going to matter. And here I just fixed the tail, and then I decided to darken the little feathery seed bits from the dandelion because the Distress Oxides do lay down kind of chalky and they can cover up your lines a little bit. I'm keeping my mouse pretty light. I just decided to do some light grays. You could do whatever color you wanted. I just didn't want brown. I felt like that might be too harsh. I'm going to add some R30 for the insides of the ears, the nose, and the belly, but then I'm going back over it with a cool gray marker just to kind of tone it down so it doesn't look so pink. Add in the glaze pen for the eyes, and then I'm just going to keep the stem of the dandelion real simple and do a yellow-green. Now, what I wanted to do for this is to have it say, "Have a dandy day." So I found a "Have a" and "day" stamp in a different Lawn Fawn stamp set. And I just wanted to stamp dandy here. This was more difficult than I wanted it to be. I did mostly get it wrapped around the heart pretty well, but then you'll see when I do the word day, it just looks weird to me. And at that point, it was a little too late. I had already stamped it, and I probably could have cut out the heart from the center of this and then put it on another card base, but I wasn't worried about it. Here I've got a few of the extra little seeds floating off, and that one is done. My next card, I used LiQWYD from Lawn Fawn. I have already stamped and cut out masks for 5 of the little travel mugs, and I am just gonna use that as a guide to stamp my coffee cups where I want them to go, and then I'm gonna place the masks back down. Now onto some ink blending. I am using Wilted Violet, Mermaid Lagoon, Cracked Pistachio, Squeezed Lemonade, and Saltwater Taffy. I have these tiny little finger brushes that I am using, and I'm just creating sort of a halo around each of the coffee mugs in rainbow order. After I do the second color, I go back with the first. When I do the third color, I go back with the second, and I just keep doing this to make sure that the blend looks pretty good. Now here, when I get to this blue, it is a much stronger color than that green, so I definitely had to go back over that. And then the same thing with the purple. The purple is the strongest one of all of them. Well, I don't know, the blue's pretty strong. I maybe could have picked better colors for that, but I did like the mix of paler and darker colors together. Now I'm just taking all the masks off, and then I have this little heart. Lawn Fawn has lots of little heart stamps, and there is one in the stamp set with the coffee cups, but I wanted a more rounded heart instead of a long skinny one. So I stamped one on each of the center of the little mug sleeves. I don't actually know what those are called. And to start with, I am coloring all my cups in gray. This first one, I actually did cool grays for the lid and the cup, and after I got done, I didn't like it. It was too similar. It looked off to me, so I do go back over it with a light warm gray to try to warm the color up a little bit on the cup itself. And then from now on, I'm going to just use that. But to make it kind of look like the first one, I do go over that one with a light cool gray. And now here's all my markers that I use. I say that. It's not really. I actually bring in a darker one for each one. It's the ones I thought I would use to start with. So, R85, that's my dark color. And I'm just going to color all the hearts in with the darkest color from each color group. And then for the sleeves, I'm going to use the lighter ones and I'm just going to shade a little bit on the left and right sides of each of the sleeves. This is the pattern that I repeat for each of the different colors. And now, in order to make it look like my coffee cups might actually be sitting on something, I'm taking a light cool gray marker and I'm kind of just making shadows underneath each one of them. I ended up going even lighter to try to blend it out a little bit. And then I realized under the last two, since they're such dark colors, I needed a little bit of a darker gray. And then I place all my masks back onto my mugs. And then I have this ground espresso distress oxide ink, and I'm going to stamp the little coffee beans behind some of the cups, which is why I have the masks there. And then I'm going to remove them and I'm going to stamp some, and they will look like they are in front of the cups. And then after that, I left this card without a sentiment. Now for this one, I decided to go in a completely different route. I used Oliver's Stitched ABCs. I have the letters to spell the word brighten. I have attached it to some low-tack tape. I am going to put it on my card where I want it. I'm going to cut it out, and then I'm going to keep the little pieces inside the B and the R. I have a few different Distress Oxide colors. I guess I should say I have a rainbow of Distress Oxide colors here. And I am going to use all of these to make sort of like a patterned paper for my background. So this one is actually bigger than the last panel because I wanted something of a border. And I'm just going in rainbow order. I started with pink, going into the red, and then after I get all the way to purple, I'm going to go back to pink and start all the way over. For this, I did not need perfection. I knew that only the inside of the letters would show and the very border would show. So I keep bringing my little die cut piece back in to make sure that, that part's looking good. And I try to get, a decent look at the very edges, but the kind of more middle portion isn't really, like, you don't even have to ink that up if you know exactly where your letters are going. Now right here, this looks like a mess. And I got a little bit smudgy in that bottom corner, but thankfully the colors kind of lined up with what I was going to put there anyway. Now I had dug through my stamps and couldn't find the stamps that I wanted to use for this. So I hand wrote just a note to, and then your day after the word brighten. So the whole thing reads, just a note to brighten your day. And here I'm using the B and the R in the little negative spaces real quick so that I can pop in the centers, so it actually looks like a B and an R, and then that card is complete. So there is 4 cards. That is, well, it was supposed to be clean and simple, and I don't know how simple they got because I have a really hard time with that, but I hope you all enjoyed today's video. I will be back with another video soon. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!